Hey guys, it's Winter and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be another story time video. My last story time video got a lot of likes, so I thought maybe I'd try another one because y'all seem to like that kind of stuff. You like the what's the word? The tea, as y'all can say it. Wow, I'm cringy. Anyways, today's video is going to be pretty chillax. I'm not going to do much editing to this video. I'm going to keep it pretty straightforward. This is just something to put on in the background when you're doing your homework or at work or just whatever. Yeah, it's not supposed to be anything appealing to look at. So yeah, it's just more of like a listening kind of thing. But I guess I'll get right into it. My little story time. So this takes place last year at Youmacon 2017. And being the smart person that I am was like, I want to run a panel this year. That sounds like fun, right? Okay. Rough start there. Anyways, I submitted an application and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do a panel. I talked to my sister about it. I'm like, would it be a fun panel? Like anime like speed dating. Like that sounds like it would be a good idea, right? And like we could have like 20 or 30 people in there. I would make little note cards that like give little talking points on each one and can help people kind of start conversation. It doesn't have to just be speed dating. It could just be like friends or, just something to do. Get to know the people that you're communicating with and like you're going to conventions to, and maybe you'll meet a friend or a date along the way. That's just basically what it was for. So yeah, I got like 30 or so note cards together with all these talking points on it. My sister got some other stuff together like snacks and goodies, and I was like, this is gonna be such a cute little panel. Like, oh my god, that's gonna be so good. Flash forward a couple weeks later, Youmacon sends us an email and says, okay, your panel's been approved. You will be in this location at this time. Blah 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 blah. I think it was like Saturday night from like 6 to 8 or something. It was like a 2-hour panel or something like that. It said it was going to be in the restaurant in the Rensen. And I was like, okay, so it's going to be like a little cafe kind of thing. Like, okay, little cutesy little... This is where the maid cafe was. So I just assumed it'd just be like kind of a small little, little cafe room. Something little, really cutesy. And so I pack up my stuff for the panel and we head to Youmacon. And I'm just like carefree and yeah. I stopped at the hotel restaurant just to check it out to see how it is Saturday morning, I think. And I looked in and it was pretty big, so I was like, oh, it's a kind of big restaurant in there. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still not expecting a lot of people. I'm expecting still like 20 to 30 people, if that. Like, I didn't know if anyone would show up, quite honestly. So, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry. Anyways, so I got all my stuff together. I talked to some con staff. They were really nice and really supportive. And they're like, okay, so you're going to be here at this time. Like, I got my badge. I was all good. Comes like 4 o'clock. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should just go in there and like set up some stuff because it doesn't look like anyone's going to be using that room until my panel. So I went in. I set up a couple things. I set up the chairs so they were kind of like two and two facing each other around the room, and I set up like 30 chairs or so because that's what I expected. Come around 5:30, I think the panel started at 6. The times are a blur to me now, but let's just say it started at 6. 5:30 came around. I told my sister, hey, can you check outside, see if there's like people there? Maybe they don't know where they are, or I don't know. So I told her to check. She comes back about 10 minutes later, and I'm like, what took you so long? Like, where were you? And she was like, there's a good about 400 people outside. And then I about died inside. I'm like, 400 people? And I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, I literally went out there and counted. And that's why it took me so long. I've been counting people in line. I'm like, so I was in full panic mode. I'm like, what? So I told her, like, you need to go ask them outside, like, what they're doing. Like, what are they waiting for? Just to make sure that it's actually my panel. Lo and behold, it's for my panel. I don't know if some of you already went to that panel or you know what panel I'm talking about. But yeah, anime speed dating, Youmacon 2017, that was all me. I know I'm terrible. Anyways, so con staff is already outside and they're trying to manage this line because it's huge and the people are everywhere. I'm running around. My one friend, she was there too. She was also trying to help me. We were all running around, the three of us. So it was me, my sister, and my friend. And that was it. Con staff eventually came, and they brought security with them, which made it a little easier. I also had con staff counting people and giving me exact numbers, and the line kept growing and growing as 6 o'clock eventually came. I was running around the restaurant trying to get all these chairs set up because I was like, okay, I was prepared for 30. I had these cute little like bags of snacks and I had the little note cards. And I'm like, well, I'm just not going to even use these because then some people are going to get note cards and some won't. And so I just tossed all that out the window and eventually all the candy got back to me and my friends, so that's fine. But anyways, so I set up about as much chairs as I possibly could. I think in the end I could set up like 90 chairs and that was about it, all I could do. So I told con staff, hey, you're gonna only have to let in like 90 people because I can't do all 400 at once. And they're like, okay. So they counted in 90 people. They stopped at a certain point. Eventually everyone sat down in their seats. It was okay for a minute. Of course, everyone's talking. I don't have a boom mic or anything, and I can't really yell that loud. So I have a security guy yell for me, basically, the whole time. And, I was yelling to people, hey, this is anime speed dating. You're going to get 2 minutes per person, or something like that. I don't remember what I said. I think it was like 2 minutes or something. So I was like, you're going to have 2 minutes per person. The left side, like the left side of the chairs, like, you're not moving. The right side, you're going to move over one. And basically, it's going to work in, like, a circle. Okay? Pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Like, it's not, like, hard to do. But, of course, there's always people who aren't going to move, who just get caught up in the conversation and don't listen to me. There were people complaining that, like, we didn't have girls on one side and boys on the other. And I was like, being in the cosplay community, there's a huge number of LGBT people. And some people don't fit into liking, you know what I'm trying to say. So, I'm LGBT. I don't, I would like them to have a variety. Like, I wouldn't just want to talk to men. Like, I would want to talk to everybody. That includes non-binary, transgender, genderqueer, women, men, everything. So I was basically said, this is for everybody. This is an all-inclusive panel. This is not just for dating. This is for friends, too. So if you run into someone you're not attracted to personality-wise or, physically, that's totally okay. You can still be friends. That's basically what I was saying, yelling at the top of my lungs. But I had a lot of grown men, usually they were about like 30-ish, 40-ish, who mostly had the issue with it. A lot of people were really understanding of that, but there were some people who were like, I want to just talk to pretty girls, and I don't want to talk to other guys, and I'm like, well, I have to make this as inclusive as possible because the cosplay community is such a LGBT-friendly space that it's not fair if I just do that. Like, that's not how I roll, and that's not how a lot of people in the cosplay community roll. So I make it inclusive for everybody. And I specifically said, this does not just have to be for dating. Like, friends is great too, Like, what's wrong with friends? But anyways, long story short, it was just 2 hours of me yelling, people not listening to me. We had to kick a couple people out because they were they were sexually harassing other con guests, so we had to have security kick them out of the convention. And I was without a security guard for a couple times because, he had to keep kicking out people, which is just ridiculous. I don't know why people do that. But, they still do it. And it's still a big issue. Cosplay is not consent. I don't care what you're dressed as. It's not an excuse to touch somebody. Like, have basic human respect for other people. Like, Jesus. Anyways, so yeah, overall, it went pretty much a disaster. I mean, I saw a couple people like talking, and most people were talking, and that was great, getting out numbers. And I want people to interact and get to know other people in the community, because I know a lot of people go to conventions and don't know anybody. So this was kind of my interpretation of getting people to talk to each other, and mingle, and whatnot. But yeah, I was expecting 20 to 30, and I got about 400 people. Eventually, we kept, swapping out people. We did get down, we got to see about 300 or so, but we only had 2 hours, so we couldn't really go through everybody. So a lot of people were still left outside in line, but I mean, there were just so many people. And yeah, I guess a lot of people in the cosplay community are thirsty because there were so many more people than I thought. Yeah, but that was my panel story, my one and only panel. I might try to run another one in the next couple of years or months or next convention, but it would be a very more chillax panel. It wouldn't be something like so interactive again, because it would just, I can't do it, because that was just way out of my league of what 3 people can do. Like, I can't. Con staff, they were really helpful and they were great trying to get everyone in, but with 3 people as that panel head, that was way too much for us to handle. So I'm going to try a different approach next time and not do something so crazy like that ever again. But yeah, I was dressed as Wonder Woman, so if you were there and you remember me running around in Wonder Woman and my sister was Batgirl, my friend was just herself, but if you remember us, give us a shout out down below and say, hey, I saw you acting like morons. I don't know. But it was a pretty rough time for sure, but I've learned a lot, I guess. I guess that leads me to the next talking point, which is just a little plug-in. So that's the end of the story. So if you just came here for the story's over, but my little plug-in at the end is that I see too many people sexually harassing other people at conventions, especially, and this is supposed to be a community of love and acceptance and not being a dick. So please, sorry, I'm swearing in this video, stop doing that. Have respect for basic human rights, because no, it just, hey, cosplay's not consent in the end. Don't touch people without their permission. I've experienced it too many times to count, of people just touching me and grabbing me in inappropriate places that I said no to, but they do it anyways because they don't have any respect, I guess. It's not right, If you want to take a picture, just ask. That's something that also bothers me, when people just take random pictures and they don't ask you, I would be more than happy to take a picture, just please ask, and that way you could get actually a good picture. It doesn't have to be a half-ass picture of me looking off into space and I look terrible. It can actually be a good picture for you, so all you have to do is ask. So moral of the story, don't touch people without asking, don't take people's picture without asking. Basically, just be respectful. It's not that hard, people. But that was my story time today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you want to see more story times of my big fails at conventions, please comment below, and I will gladly tell you all my other stories of failing. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you at YomaCon 2018. Bye!